The Bold and the Beautiful September 11th episode breakdown, a sudden wedding, secrets unveiled, and a shocking dilemma on Thursday, September 11th. The Bold and the Beautiful turned the heat all the way up. The drama didn't just simmer, it exploded. In a stunning sequence of events that played out across Los Angeles, the lives of some of B and B's most iconic characters took sharp turns, some towards love, others straight into betrayal, doubt, and legal peril. At Forrester Creations, Ridge Forrester was done waiting. After years of back and forth, heartbreaks, and reconciliations, Ridge had one goal in mind: make Brooke Logan his wife immediately. There was no time for ceremony, no time for lavish arrangements, or endless delays. The office, the very heart of the Forrester empire, would serve as the venue. The decision wasn't a request, it was a declaration. And Carter Walden, ever the loyal friend and legal officiant of many a Forrester wedding, had barely stepped into the room when Ridge told him to stay. He had a job to do. Ridge was ready. He didn't want another second to pass with Brooke still carrying her old name. And Brooke, caught off guard by the speed of it all, was clearly glowing at the idea. After everything they had endured, from betrayals to rivalries, and the endless push and pull that defined their love story, this moment felt like a breakthrough. She didn't need a grand spectacle. She didn't need approval. She needed Ridge. And for once, she had him, heart and soul, without reservation. The impromptu wedding wasn't just a whirlwind of emotion for Ridge and Brooke, it sparked a fire in Carter as well. Watching Ridge leap without hesitation into marriage forced Carter to take a long, hard look at his own love life. Because while Ridge was exchanging vows in a designer office, Carter couldn't ignore the lingering unease in his own relationship with Hope Logan. Carter had been patient. Too patient. He had given Hope space, understanding, time, everything she said she needed. But patience has limits. And today, seeing Ridge act with full conviction, something in Carter cracked. If Ridge could be so sure after all his complicated history with Brooke, then what was Hope waiting for? Was it doubt? Was it something more dangerous? The answer might lie with Liam Spencer. Hope's bond with Liam has never fully broken. Even when they said their goodbyes, even when she told herself she was moving on, there was always that undercurrent, that magnetic pull. And recently, it's grown stronger. Her fear of losing Liam forever has shaken something deep in her. She may not admit it outright, but Carter sees it. Every flicker of hesitation, every delay in moving their relationship forward, it all points back to Liam. And Carter is done ignoring it. The spontaneous wedding of Ridge and Brooke became more than a symbol of rekindled love. It became a mirror. A moment that forced Carter to examine the truth. Hope might not be fully his. And if that's true, what future is he even building? Meanwhile, elsewhere in Los Angeles, another storm was brewing, one far more volatile. At Il Giardino, Eric Forrester and Donna Logan arrived for what should have been a celebratory lunch. Their spirits were high, especially Eric's, as the news of Ridge and Brooke's reunion had lifted him completely. He had always believed they belonged together, that no matter how far they drifted, they would find their way back. Ridge saving Brooke's life in Italy had sealed that fate. And now, with wedding bells ringing, Eric's faith had been rewarded. The couple was soon joined by Deacon Sharp, who seemed unusually tense. But for now, the focus was on good news: the Forrester family finding joy after so much recent darkness. Eric, radiant with pride, toasted to love, family, and second chances. It was a brief moment of peace, but the Bold and the Beautiful never lets peace linger for long. Because back in the shadows, a much darker drama was unfolding, one that could rip lives apart and destroy reputations. Will Spencer had spent the last 24 hours grappling with something he couldn't fully process. He had slept with Luna Nozawa, and now he knew the truth. She was alive, and she remembered everything. What had started as a wild party night had turned into a waking nightmare. Luna wasn't just some fling. She was family adjacent. She was part of the tangled web of Forrester connections. And now, Will realized he had crossed a line that could never be uncrossed. The most damning part, Luna hadn't been entirely sober, and the more Will replayed the night, the more terrified he became. Did she consent? Was she in control? Did he misread everything? To make matters worse, Luna's shaken and raw hadn't gone to the police. Not yet. But she had made it clear that what happened between them wasn't over. The consequences were coming, and Will could already feel the ground shifting beneath his feet. But there was one more complication: Electra Forrester. Electra wasn't just Will's girlfriend. She was Ridge's niece, a rising star in the Forrester family, and someone who had already been suspicious of Luna. If she found out what had happened, if she even suspected, it would be catastrophic. The Forrester family would turn on Will instantly. His relationship with Electra would be annihilated. And worst of all, if the media caught wind of it, Spencer Publications would be in flames. Will was trapped. If he told the truth, he risked prison. If he stayed silent, he risked Luna breaking first. Either way, someone would get hurt badly. The pressure was mounting. The guilt was consuming. And Will, always groomed to be the next generation's clean-cut Spencer legacy, now found himself in the dirtiest scandal imaginable. Luna's return from the edge of death should have been a miracle. But for Will, it was a ticking time bomb. And every second that passed without action brought him closer to disaster. As the bold and the beautiful charges into its next act, the stakes couldn't be higher. Ridge and Brooke have reignited their forever. But how long will it last? Will Carter confront Hope and demand the truth about her feelings? Is she still clinging to Liam in ways she won't admit? Will Hope finally choose, and will her choice come too late for Carter? And Will, faced with the truth of what happened with Luna, must decide: confession or cover-up. Luna's silence won't last forever. And when the truth comes out, as it always does in Los Angeles, the fallout will be devastating. Stay tuned. Because if you think the drama is peaking, you haven't seen anything yet. The bold and the beautiful pregnancy bombshell, DNA test fallout, and a war for control. The Luna crisis deepens, the walls are closing in. Secrets that were meant to be buried are clawing their way back to the surface. Whispers are turning into roars, and what started as a private mistake now threatens to blow the lives of multiple families wide open. Luna knows Zoe is pregnant, or at least the rumor says, and that single, volatile possibility has sent shockwaves through every corner of the Forresters, Spencers, and even the sharp inner circles. Will Spencer is unraveling. Since the night of the party, he's been trapped in a nightmare of his own making. Luna's unexpected return, alive and emotionally shattered, hit him like a freight train. But the second wave of panic came with the word pregnant. At first, it was just a whisper. A look exchanged between doctors. A missing appointment. But soon it became undeniable. Luna was late. She had symptoms. And worst of all, she wasn't denying it anymore. She hadn't told him anything directly, not yet. But Will saw the signs. And so did Remy. Remy, who had been circling this entire ordeal like a bloodhound, now had more reason than ever to push for answers. If Luna really was pregnant, the question wasn't just who's the father. It was what happens when the truth explodes. Because what happened that night was murky. Luna had been intoxicated. Will had been drunk and reckless. And there was still the uncheckable question of consent. That's what made everything worse and far more dangerous. If Luna was carrying Will's child, it wasn't just a scandal. It was a legal landmine. And Remy wasn't about to let it slide. But Remy wasn't alone. Electra Forrester, already suspicious of Will's behavior post-party, had picked up on the tension. She'd confronted Luna before, accused her of being too cozy with the Spencer heir. But now, with Luna possibly pregnant and Will acting like a man on the edge, Electra was starting to connect the dots. She didn't have the full truth, not yet, but she was getting closer. And if she discovered even half of what really happened, her loyalty to the Forrester name would demand retribution. Still, the most chilling part of all this was the silence. Luna wasn't talking. She wasn't crying, begging, or accusing. She was watching, waiting, calculating. Her eyes, once soft and unsure, were now sharp. She had power and everyone knew it. Behind closed doors, a war was brewing over what to do. Spencer PR teams were already drafting statements for if the story ever leaked. Bill Spencer was furious that his son had gotten involved in something so combustible. He demanded total silence. His only concern was the brand, the empire. He didn't care about Luna. He didn't care about justice. He wanted the story buried, along with any proof of what happened. Remy, on the other hand, had no intention of letting it die. He wanted answers. He wanted accountability. And he wanted it in writing a DNA test. Not just whispers. Not just rumors. Concrete proof. If Will was the father, then it would be impossible to spin. And Remy wouldn't let him run from it. But Luna's body wasn't the only battlefield. Her medical records, her appointment schedule, her prescriptions, they were all being monitored, stolen, manipulated. There were factions forming. One side was working to hide everything, to suppress every file, every test, every conversation. The other side was determined to drag it into the light. This wasn't just a family feud. This was war. The Forrester family tried to stay out of it at first. Rich didn't want scandal touching Brooke's happiness, especially not now that they'd finally tied the knot. Brooke had supported Luna through the early days of the fallout, but even she started to hesitate when she realized how serious things were. This wasn't just drama. This was potential courtroom territory, and that terrified everyone. Carter Walton was caught in the crossfire. As a legal counsel for both the Forresters and Spencers at different times, he was being pulled in every direction. Bill wanted confidentiality contracts and non-disclosure agreements. Remy wanted subpoenas and sworn statements. And Luna Silent still hadn't chosen a side. Yet. But then came the tipping point. The first test result. It wasn't a full paternity confirmation, but it was enough. Luna was, in fact, pregnant. No more guessing. No more speculation. The news hit like a bullet. Will disappeared for hours. Bill flew into crisis mode. Elektra packed a bag and left the Spencer estate without saying a word. And Remy? He doubled down. He contacted lawyers. He contacted journalists. He wasn't afraid anymore. The Spencer family scrambled. Offers were made. Money was thrown at the problem like water on a fire. But Luna wasn't interested in being bought, not yet. She held the one piece of information everyone wanted, the identity of the father. And she wasn't giving it up. Behind the scenes, a second test was being arranged. A paternity test. Secret, rushed, high stakes. Carter was called in to oversee it, swearing him to silence. Luna agreed under one condition, that the results would remain private until she said otherwise. She wanted control. And for once, everyone had to give it to her. But that didn't stop the speculation. Was it Will? Could it be Remy? Some even whispered about Deacon, long ago connected to Luna's family through tangled emotional lines. The longer Luna withheld the truth, the more the pressure built. Then came the leak. An anonymous tip reached the tabloids. A Forrester-adjacent model pregnant by Spencer Air drugs and consent in question. The story was vague, but it was enough. The entire city started buzzing. The media went on a feeding frenzy. Paparazzi camped outside El Giardino. Forrester Creations received hate mail. Spencer Publications stock wobbled. And Luna. She vanished. No calls. No texts. She disappeared without warning. Carter was the last person to see her, and even he didn't know where she went. That's when the panic truly set in. Because without Luna, no one could control the narrative. No one could steer the storm. Elektra, torn between rage and heartbreak, returned to confront Will directly. The scene was explosive. Screaming. Accusations. Demands. Will tried to deny it, tried to say it wasn't like that, but Elektra saw right through him. She wasn't stupid. She had trusted him, and now that trust was a crater. Remy, meanwhile, began coordinating with Luna's mother, Poppy, who had returned to Los Angeles the moment the rumors broke. Poppy was livid, protective, ready to sue, to expose, to burn bridges. She didn't care about wealth or reputation. She wanted her daughter safe. And if that meant dragging the Spencer name through the mud, so be it. But even Poppy didn't know where Luna had gone. And that's when the final blow hit. The second test came back. Luna was carrying Will Spencer's child. No more guessing. No more theories. It was real. Bill went nuclear. He locked down every internal system at Spencer Publications. He called in favors. He warned Carter. He threatened Remy. He even offered Luna full financial security if she signed a document clearing Will of any wrongdoing and agreeing to raise the child privately, quietly, away from the media. But Luna, wherever she was, remained silent. The city of Los Angeles held its breath. Was she preparing to go public? Would she take a settlement? Would she press charges? Or would she return with her own plan, one that none of them saw coming? The Bold and the Beautiful has always thrived on scandal, betrayal, and twisted love. But this is something darker, something more real. A baby on the way. A question of consent. Families torn apart. Reputations shattered. And the truth is just getting started.